All right. So we are here again with Siddharth and Ushnish. And I would love to, now that we've discussed some of your story, I'd like to hear more. Now, this show is based on my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this year with our pandemic globally, we have had every situation happen. So I'd love for you to both to share maybe about a time in your business or personal life that you've hit a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Right. So it's good to meet you again, Sheila. And so basically the question that you asked, right, about hitting rock bottom or maybe like hitting a rough patch in our professional career or personal life. So this kind of happened right after we had planned this project out. And let's say, so we started from 2017, right? And things were smooth sailing from there. But then eventually there came a time after, let's say, half a year or around a year's time that slowly business didn't pick up and we couldn't do the things we wanted to because of limited resources. And of course with that obviously came the pressure of managing an entire team, and plus people kept leaving us, leaving the entire team, leaving the organization slowly because apparently they didn't see any future. So that was a patch that we hit, and that got us thinking about whether we should actually proceed with this dream of ours or whether we should just probably leave it on the ground. So that was like we were at a very difficult crossroads per se. Even personally speaking, like we did face a lot of things, which I feel Ushnish would want to talk about a little more.
Yeah. So I hope my voice is clear.
Yes.
All right. So, yep. So that was quite an introduction. I mean, as every business starts, right? We also, faced a little bit of challenge in the inception when we, planned and also formed up the team. And moving forward, we were also strategizing the challenges and how we gonna, propel the sales in the market and where we gonna target, how the audience will be right, what will be the products, the designs, all those things. And while doing that, like we had a couple of challenges, and now like while we were in the journey, right, and we faced few of these kind of challenges where we had to again plan, go back to the basics, through the going through those plan and making some newer strategies, and then seeing how we can form up a plan. And then finally when we just before the pandemic we started now we are not going to focus only in one region. We're gonna put it in a global format. We're gonna refurbish our site in a totally new way, and put new storylines behind those designs, and then how we can interact with those customers, right? And not only Getnerdy is all about a new storyline, and we also have raised our own mascot, so which is a gorilla, and we call his name is Goldie, and we have a very humor character made around him, right? Like whatever story and design is coming up, right, there is something or the other related to our mascot. So I'll let Siddharth speak a little bit more about the mascot, because he was like Siddharth, it was his brainchild behind this mascot, so that's why.
So I feel, Sheila, you'd probably like the story behind why we named him Goldie. So I had 5 dogs, and they're not there anymore. So one of the closest ones I had was Goldie, and so it clicked. Like it could be like an ode to my dog. And even if you go on our site, so we have this thing called Pay It Forward initiative, wherein we are trying to help NGOs and especially people who actually look after animals. So over there as well, I have pictures of all my 5 dogs. So that's kind of the story behind it.
Wow. Wow. I love that. And it's really interesting. This is funny. When I was a little girl, I had one relative. It was my grandmother's sister. So it was a great aunt, and she loved animals. So she had a baby Gibbons ape, and the baby Gibbons ape was blonde. So they called it Goldie. And this monkey literally, when I was 3, 4 years old, I would go to visit and the monkey would jump in my hair and it would play with me. We would have tea. I would have tea with the monkey, Goldie. And here we are, I get chills, and here we are talking today, and your mascot is a gorilla and it's Goldie. I love it. I mean, isn't it funny, the serendipities in how things happen in our world and our lives, and how that's so aligned. I just think it just made me think of that, and the funny memories. Actually, Goldie got older. My little Gibbons ape, they're smaller. They're not like gorillas.
Right.
Small.
Right.
She actually went to the Santa Barbara Zoo and got married.
Okay.
As her
That's crazy.
Yes. So it was a very interesting.
I mean, what is the coincidence that you had a monkey growing up and we have a gorilla named after Goldie itself?
Yes, and when that great aunt passed away, she gave everything she had. She owned a lot. She did very well in her life. She gave everything to help support the animal society. That was her goal, and she would rescue every single animal on the planet. She had everything you could imagine. And, you know, she would find these animals and rescue them, bring them back to health and set them free or bring them to the zoos. And so that was her mission in life. And so it's kind of an interesting thing. Yes, yes. I love that.
So actually, Sheila, that actually reminded me and something which I wanted to talk maybe a little bit ahead of this show. We also have, you know, since Siddharth mentioned about this mascot and his 5 dogs, whom I also, you know, kind of grew up with, right? So that's where we actually planned of doing something for the society. So it's not only about, you know, raising up a brand, right? It's also like how you are contributing to the society. It's something what we have, you know, given the banner of pay it forward. In this regard, like, you know, while the holidays are approaching, like we have, you know, come across different campaigns, right? And whatever, like, you know, the revenue we are getting, right, we are trying to, you know, at least help those homeless, and also, like, you know, try and pay it to the NGOs who are doing it for a cause, right? So that's something we have also, you know, been constantly, you know, thinking about. And of course, like, while we are, you know, in this topic, I mean, like, it's a very good initiative. I mean, I don't know about like how many apparel brand actually, you know, in the inception, you know, taking it in this regard. And we have actually, you know, taken this initiative and, you know, paying it a forward kind of initiative.
Yes, and I think that's so important for the success of business, to have a heart, to have purpose in business, in many, you know, to have fun in business makes a big difference. And then to have something where you're giving back to society and to the world, it makes people, you understand the mission. When you have people that you've now employed, they go to work with you as a team, and you work together for a common cause, and there's a purpose behind it. Other than paying the bills are important. We got to pay the bills. Let's be honest. But beyond paying the bills, there's something that grows out of that, and that really does make a difference. I know when I was a very young girl, I opened gift stores. At 23, I opened my first store. It was 5,000 square feet. They rented it to me, so I was paying $1 a square foot, $5,000 a month, and they gave 6 months free. And I thought, oh, 6 months, when you're 23, 6 months is like 6 years. It's a long time, you know, and I did really well. And I ended up buying 4 more buildings, and they got paid for through the store. But the store had a heart. And for me, my store, the heart of the store was that I would hire, I worked with my government here in the US, and the government had a program called Job Training Partnership Act. And I actually did a training program to help young adults that were emancipating from, like, foster homes, so orphanages, maybe you would say, over where you're from. So they didn't have families. Nobody wanted to hire these kids. they were hungry for an opportunity. And so I gave them the training, and we would record on the 20-pound, remember these cameras, the camcorders, 20, 30-pound camcorders.
Yeah.
We didn't have phones
Right.
back then. And we would record the trainings and send them in to show the proof of all the trainings. And then 6 months later, they get a letter of recommendation if they did everything they needed to do. And they would graduate from working with me, and they would go work at a big company. Because I was starting out, little stores. I mean, they were big stores for me, but they weren't like the big companies. And they would get hired at the best companies around. And then later, now I still know them. Years later, they have their own businesses now. And over 200 kids went through my training program and had opportunities that maybe they would not have had. And I think this is my thought is, people, customers, clients, they can feel the heart of if it's okay.
Correct.
What is the heart of what we're doing and the purpose? And then there's something universal law, whatever you want to believe, there's something spiritually that happens that you give, you receive. It's something that happens, and you just do your best. You take your next action. COVID hits. Okay, how are we going to serve people now? How do we do this differently? And we keep going forward.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
So even your journey kind of started quite a long time back when you were very young, it seems.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love how you're bringing this now, your company, to the world, going global. And that's a bold move, but something that is so fun at the same time when you have fun with it. So now, as a newer company, what were the things that you had to overcome in order to be able to do that, to start branching out to the US and different places?
Okay. So I tell my team 3 things, like, to make a project successful or to make anything successful in life, right? You need to believe in it. You need to have guts, and you need to strive for it. Otherwise, things are not going to work out. It doesn't matter how talented you are or how skilled you are per se. If you have the willingness to do something, right, and you don't give up on your dreams or whatever it is that you're wanting to do, you will succeed in that regard. And on the same lines itself, with Getnerdy and with us, like Ushnish and I were the only ones remaining. So taking you back to 2017 when everything was in tatters, like it was completely in shambles, right? But taking it back to that time, Ushnish and I, we were the only people who still believed in this thing. And of course, our main designer, he was also there, but he was in the back. He was doing his own stuff, right, with gorillas and monkeys. But so we kept the belief alive, but we took a break. And we took a step back, kind of broke down the entire business model, like from every single element. And from there, we took it to a bigger level, right? And of course, the logistics are there. I mean, I don't want to bore you with business terms per se right now, but yeah, I mean, the logistical aspect, the technical aspect, like, because the industry that we are heading into, right? The t-shirts, the streetwear industry, I won't say it's saturated, but there are a lot of big players in this market. So now, for us to stand out, and considering the fact that we are bootstrapped at this point, it was like that in itself was one of the biggest thought processes that we were going through. How do we make this brand stand out? And of course, I mean, all these initiatives that we have, and plus we have a couple of others in the pipeline as well. So we don't look at ourselves as just selling a t-shirt or just selling a tangible product. So we kind of look at ourselves as trying to sell a story through our designs or through our graphics. And even, there are so many artists nowadays in the world, like, people who just doodle or who just sketch, they don't get the recognition that they deserve for their work. So we kind of want to bring them to the spotlight and, let their work show for themselves. So that is how we kind of slowly started rebuilding. And then, of course, this prospect of going to the US and actually setting up the business there actually came up. It struck our head. And it's funny, actually, that we were... it was very late in the night and we were almost like in zombie mode completely. And so I called Ushnish up and I was like, bro, why don't we just take this outside? and see how it works out. So far so good, I would say. And yeah.
That's great. That's great. Well, and there's something to be said about sometimes going outside of your community that is received even better. It's very interesting how that happens, but it happens quite often where
Right.
I guess your circle, they already know you, like, okay, yeah, I know them. You know what I mean? And then you go somewhere else and they see you in a new light, and it's different, it's unique. And so it's something that catches on faster somewhere else. And then
Right.
you come back and they're like, oh yeah, okay, it's different now. So it takes that time. And do you have any tips maybe for people that are newer entrepreneurs that are listening now, that are trying to get started? Like, you had your time where you hit a rock bottom and you had to start over with your business. And what tips would you give to somebody who's just starting now, whatever they're doing during this pandemic? Maybe they're starting a business because their company went away. You know, what tips would you have?
Yeah.
Firstly,
I would
just
say,
take it up.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just take it up. I mean, it's a very interesting that Siddharth touched on those three things, right? I'll rather add another edge to it, considering this kind of unprecedented times that have hit multiple business towards the rock bottom that they actually didn't plan for.
Right.
And you need to believe in your idea. I mean, that idea which you have for your business, you have to believe in it. And while you are working with a team, you need to have a very strong team, and where you can tell them what you are looking for. And while you are just doing it, you have to tell them that this is something which we're gonna strive for, and like we were gonna live for. And of course, like, there should be an additional edge to the idea that, okay, if this is failing, what next? A plan A and a plan B, or maybe a plan C for that matter of fact. So this is how a new business should be like going in. And maybe like we haven't considered this pandemic situation coming up, right? And while this is coming up, like, we had to also make multiple other strategies, and how we gonna because while we were introducing to our products in US, right, we were totally in a dark situation, because like at that point of time, US has that peak of the pandemic situation. Everything was in a lockdown, and there were riots going on, and there's some government issues going on, and there were so many multiple situations. Yeah. And now things have rather settled down, and now we have started again doing the market penetration, and identifying those educational institutions where, and also our young community, where we can actually introduce our products. So now it's, as Siddharth mentioned, so far so good. Fingers crossed, we're gonna rock in 2021.
Yes. And that is something, if you wrote a business plan and you've got a 5-year plan, well, guess what? Be ready to course correct. I remember, for me, I opened that store. I'm 23 years old. And what the community where I opened the store was a very affluent, very rich community. They had a lot of money, but they were all older. So like, I'm talking grandma age, like at least 60s, 70s, 80s. Was the main community where I started the first store. So I couldn't play young people music. I had to play beautiful, like,
like jazzy music,
Frank Sinatra, older music.
Right.
I was 23, so I get, that kind of, and I had to change the products and think, what do you want to buy? What do these people want? Because it wasn't what a 23-year-old wanted to buy. That's for sure. And I had to figure that out. And I did 6 months into it. I did a big marketing shift. I hired a company to help me with, I didn't know marketing. I was learning everything. You learn things you don't know you needed to know. and you learn them really fast because you have no choice, because you're on the line. You already put your money in. You have to get it back out, and you have to pay the bills. And so I hired this marketing company only for a few months, and it shifted my company for the whole rest of the time. I only needed a little bit. I needed the training. And I asked a lot of questions. Why? What do we do that for? Why are we changing this? What, you know, I wanted to understand so that I could emulate and do the marketing myself, which I ended up doing going forward from that 3 months. So sometimes it's worth hiring a consultant, a coach, a marketing person, somebody to help you in your business to just get it to that next level. It doesn't have to be forever, but it's just that one thing you don't know that if you did know could take your business to the next level, especially when you're starting out. Maybe that's hiring an accountant or someone to help you set the books up so you have a foundation of how to do the book work and how to get it right. And then you, even if you end up hiring out, as a business owner and a business leader, it's so important to know. You need to be able to know, okay, I know every penny. Just like this, every single day, you need to be able to know where everything is, how everything's doing, how everything works, so that you're able to train other people. You want to bring people in. I know when I trained my students, but I had to know. I had to do every job, and I had to record myself doing the job to show even how to do the trash, how I want the trash done. I have to show them, this is how I want this done. Every single piece. How do you hand the bag to the customer? How, you know, what do you say? What do you do? And I said, when I would tell my training employees, I would say to them, what I want you to do is I want you to be me. I'm paying you to be me. You're representing me when you represent this company. And so,
Right.
really, so you need to learn. It's like you get a PhD in running your business while you're running the business. It's like going to school. We learn so much. It's a great time. It's a beautiful opportunity, but you'll get bad grades, and you'll be thankful because you'll get to learn, oh, they don't want that. The customers, the clients, they don't like that. Oh my goodness. Oops. I like it, but they don't like it. And you'll learn really fast what works, what doesn't work, and you switch and you change. So you have a basic business plan, but I think it's important to have meetings, not that waste time, but where you reevaluate. What worked this month? What didn't work? What went well? What didn't? How do we need to course correct? Oh, now this is happening in the world. What can we do differently? And what's effective, what's not? Who's working in the company? What employees aren't? Maybe we need to switch their position. Maybe their talent is something different, and they could earn more and contribute more in a different capacity. And so just have fun with that. I know Ushnish had mentioned in the prior interview that he's from Malaysia, and I think of Mind Valley and how creative. But you can be creative and have fun with a company. I love the company because they have fun and they're creative with it.
Yes, I mean, I have seen multiple videos of the person who runs that show. I mean, he's a very interesting person. I mean, I haven't got that opportunity to meet him though, but I'm sure like the next time he's doing some seminars or maybe some in-person show, I'll definitely make a sit for that. But yep, I mean, this is also a very different market, and while I have also grown like differently in that like partially working in Indian market, then it was Asia Pacific region. And while you spoke about doing something different, actually while we are sitting in the holiday season, right, Siddharth made some a very good surprise for our listeners and our audience, right? So he might need to have to just give a little teaser of that.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So you know our name, right? It's Getnerdy. And what do you relate nerdiness or the word nerdy with? People who are avid readers of comic books, who are into movies, or who are into all the geeky stuff, right? So what we thought was during this Christmas season, right? Why don't we do something different? Why don't we stir up the pot instead of rather just, giving out discounts and, the generic deals on our sites and everything? Why don't we do something different? And an idea hit us that we can just, maybe launch our own comic book line, right? And maybe the first edition itself or the first copy can be given to the first 50 people or the 100 people who come on our site and make a purchase during this time, during Christmas. Maybe they get the first peek of it, and we send them an ebook of our comic. So that's what we're doing right now.
I love it. That is great. And I know that there are people that collect comic books, so you got to get the first ones, because the issues, they're very important. They'll be worth a lot someday.
I mean, we see comic books selling out for $5,000, $10,000 nowadays on eBay and Amazon. So it's pretty crazy nowadays.
Yes.
Just a couple of days back, Siddharth was telling me, like, in our childhood days, we used to collect, G.I. Joe collectibles, like, small action figures. And we used to buy for a very minimal price. Now it's selling for what, like $100 or maybe like, close to around like 150. And we were like blown. Now we have to, do something like, going back to the early 90s and maybe like late 80s era, where how we actually grew up and like, what were those things, because that's how we are also, planning our mascot. Because while going back to the Goldie topic, and we have, portrayed in this new design range, right? We have portrayed Goldie as a, naughty youngster. And where he's like, he's doing some not like mischief in the house itself, like stealing the gifts from the Christmas tree and whatnot. I mean, like that is a bit of the the comic book how we are actually planning it, like. And that's how it's actually fun with work. I mean, as you mentioned, right? Like we have to be interactive to our customers, and we have to also hear them out, like what they are actually looking for, and doing something different. It's not always mainstream designs or whatever all the brands are doing. Something little different outside, which the designs we can talk to our customer. So that's how.
Wow. And let me tell you, Goldie, the little Gibbons ape that I had around, when she would come visit our house, she would get into the presents and she would make a mess, and she would be able to open cabinets, take cookies out and eat them, throw them all over the place. So you are spot on. You are right.
We are already talking.
They're smart. They're very smart. They're very smart.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, she was a troublemaker. She taught me everything I know.
But I'd like to touch on what you mentioned about learning on the fly. I mean, on a personal note, like working on this business or working on this project, we don't know. We are students of the game, right? We don't know everything. We don't know the book in and out. So for us as well, for Ushnish, me, and even my entire team, as a matter of fact, for us, we had to learn on the fly, and we had to adjust ourselves or adapt to whatever situation we are placed with. And at that time, like, the best of you comes out only when all the odds are stacked against you. Like, it's either make or break. At that point of time, you need to make that decision, right? Do I stay down or do I, hit back? Mm-hmm. And for us, hitting back has been the, touch wood, the best decision that we have taken till now. And yeah, I mean, the entire thing, like how you run a business, right? How you lead a team. Like, you can either be a boss or you can be a leader. And being a leader is always better than being a boss.
Yes. Yes. It makes a big difference. And having fun is part of it. I'm not political. I was literally invited to run political teams, not because they said, what's your political, what side are you on? And I said, free spirit. I did not know. And it was in my 20s. And they said, no, we want to pay you and have you come and work with us and get the vote out. And I said, okay, sure. And it was not about politics. It was about people and leadership and having fun. And and I worked on a lot of these nonpartisan campaigns for education and students and things that mattered, but to me, and that were kind of universal needs. But it was just fun, and it was leadership, but it was because it was fun. And then somebody else that was much smarter. I mean, I'm this young kid. They were much smarter than me, but they were boring. And they weren't leading, they were bossing. And, imagine if they don't have to come to work, or they don't have to go and run a campaign or work on something, or they're not motivated. And then it's not fun when you get there. They're not involved, and they get bored and they want to leave. Versus, oh my gosh, I can't wait to show up. Now you make a community. It becomes, I think we spend more hours at work or with our coworkers than at home. And so we want to make that community like an extension of our family. And I think that's the difference, so that you look forward to working together, you support each other, you help each other through things, and you have each other's back. And that's the difference. And you're just having fun. And life is so short. No matter how long we get to live, it's so short. We want to have fun in it, and bring your kids in. If you have children later on in life, I have these 6 children I raised. I adopted 3 are mine. They're all mine. But I tell you, I shared with them. They got to come to the store. They would help me pick out the merchandise sometimes. They would learn. They learned so much. They would help set up or decorate, we'd have concerts. We'd have little bands come out and play music on the weekends and stay open late. They would come out and help, and they got involved. And let me tell you, that was so much more of an education than just the books, because it was the people. It was how do you run leadership? That's what it was, leadership.
Correct.
Yes. Yes. So this time when you're home, if you're listening in and your kids are home and they're stuck working with you, wow, this is like the best gift ever for your kids. Believe it or not, they get to see, oh, gosh, well, that's not fun, Mom or Dad. Yeah, it's not. But guess what? This is part of how we get food on this table. And this is what we do. And they understand, oh, no wonder Mom and Dad are tired at the end of the day. They have to do all that. And so then they get to be part of it. And they understand a bigger understanding of how that works and how to have fun with it. Just get them involved in a fun way, how they can contribute. So I'd love to learn now how people can get nerdy. How can they get your products or learn more about what you're doing and stay connected with you?
Right. So we have our own website wherein people can go and make purchases. It's www.getnerdy.in. And for me and Ushnish, we are there on all social media, and except for Tinder, we're not there on Tinder as well. So you can just look up us by our names itself.
Okay, Getnerdy.in.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. And so that's something, and you're able to ship now to the United States.
Absolutely, anywhere in the world.
Wow, that's wonderful. All right, that's great. Well, I look forward to seeing more of your products over here in the U.S., and I will check out your website. And thank you again for being special guests on the show. All right.
Thank you for having us. Absolutely. Thank you for having us. And a Merry Christmas to you.
All right. Thank you.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Yes, Happy Holidays and Happy New Year. Here we go. So stay tuned.